Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Team Building with Zooch, where I take a lab guest and team build for a matchup with them. And then afterwards, I will review the replay and talk about the game and the team and how the overall performance went. So without further ado, we have our guest Punpun with us here today. What's going on, man?
Yo.
Yo, yo, yo. All right,
What's
so
up?
so we got this is a SV Paldea game, but it is kind of actually like the last one where it's Terra captains, but they're fixed to a couple of Terra types. So talk to me a little bit about this game. You said, I mean, I don't mean to put you on blast here, but you said this is the last game of the season. How did the season go, real quick?
Yeah, it's a 12-week league, so
Yeah.
at least I can say I know this team in and out very well.
Yep.
Because I've been with it for a while.
Yeah.
And just looking at the matchup real quick, I honestly don't know how I feel about my opponent's team. It's like kind of weird. And I try to come into this session like as prepared as possible because not necessarily because I already have like a team built or anything. I don't even know what my win con is yet, but I did look at a lot of weaknesses. And I realized that it's like kind of hard to prep for this team. Like it looks kind of weird at first, but the more I look into it, the more I'm like, there's actually a lot of things to like watch out for here.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like every single matchup I've had on this like series so far, I've always had a pretty common like the same weakness really, and that's just, which I guess that's just a Gen 9 thing, just because the removal is not really good in Gen 9. But yeah, they only have one remover, it looks like, on this team as well, which is Lamora. So, and you can just block it with a steel type when you're getting it done. So,
but actually, I want to ask, does corrosion beat steel types? Like,
yeah,
like if he tries to mortal spin and he's corrosion, does it?
Yeah. I actually don't know that mechanic. I know you can obviously toxic. So, I know you can obviously toxic steel types. So it leads me to believe that you can actually do that, but I'm actually not 100% sure on that. I'm gonna check real quick, honestly, on my phone.
Yeah,
I'm gonna check because that's actually pretty like important. Let's see, mortal spin. Where's the steel types? Let's see. Oh no, it doesn't. No.
Okay, good.
So that's good. So yeah, you can always you can always block it. So that's good. But so removal's good. You have obviously one of the best spikers in the whole generation, Tinglu. And Tinglu does look pretty solid here. You can check, Lamora, you can check Golden Go, Jolteon if it comes, So Tinglu is definitely a Pokemon that's going to come. As far as like win conditions on your side right off the bat, actually I see one that's actually looks pretty strong here. I'm not sure if you might see it right away, and it's actually a Pokemon I haven't really used, but I do think it can definitely be cool, which is actually Armarouge. If you actually,
Armarouge, he's the GOAT.
You do? I've never used it, but he seems really cool. If you look at his team, right, like you're stabbing them, plus you're gonna need a fighting move for Moon and Sonora, but the rest looks actually really strong. And the set that comes to mind immediately for me is just Weakness Policy Endure with obviously Weak Armor, because there are so many Pokemon on their team that can proc it, and so that can proc the policy with a physical hit, which procs Weak Armor. So obviously Moon can use knockoff Earthquake, Landorus knockoff Earthquake, Terrakion Stone Edge Earthquake, and Incineroar knockoff Earthquake. Like there's a lot of things to proc this set for you to win. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to look at Armarouge at +2 and kind of see how much damage we're doing to everything, let's just say we're +2. Armor Cannon, we're not going to go Stored Power. Let's go Psyshock, because the reason why on this type of set I don't like Stored Power is just because if you're this set and you don't get that proc, like that's just a dead move, And Psyshock is cool too because it hits something like an Assault Vest Primarina, super strong, or something like maybe a Fizdef Landorus if they bring it. I don't really know if they bring Fizdef Landorus here, but I just like Psyshock. Again, we're going to calc, so we're going to see if we actually need it. And then the last move would be a fighting move. It would be either Aura Sphere or Focus Blast. But the two dark types, they can definitely be Spadef, and Roaring Moon has good base Spadef, I believe. So I do think we might need to run Focus Blast, but we'll check Aura Sphere first just to be safe. Because if we don't have to run it, then we're not going to run it. So let's check Roaring Moon. Okay, so at +2, actually, if it's no bulk, and we do have, let's assume we have a spike up, we're probably going to be able to get a spike up here. Aura Sphere actually is enough for Moon. Let's check Incineroar, though. That's probably the bigger one. Okay, so if it's Spadef, let's see, Incineroar. Oh yeah, you have Miss Magius too. So it certainly can be Spadef for these two guys if it comes.
Yeah.
So we might need to run Focus Blast here. Hopefully, like, we wouldn't have to land 2. Like, that's the worst case scenario, is that we have to land 2, which is possible. But 1, that means they'd have to bring both of their dark types, and they both have to be, like, not really chipped at all. Like, if Incineroar is chipped, like, Armor Cannon, like, it can be chipped in Armor Cannon range, but it would need a lot of chips. So it's up to you if you want to weigh the risk versus reward, if you want Focus Blast or Aura Sphere. Me personally, I would go Focus Blast here, just so I don't gotta worry about it. But it would suck kind of just not sweeping because you missed an attack. So I don't know if you have a preference on how you would for this one. What do you think?
Yeah, Focus Blast is definitely better, I think.
You think it's better?
Yeah. I just think trying to get Incineroar chipped enough for Aura Sphere could be kind of hard.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just like kill that thing.
Okay, we'll go with Focus Blast then. Yeah. For speed, I think we're gonna actually almost want to be max speed for a couple reasons. One, so we're gonna go to +2 speed with the, assuming we get the weak armor. So Roaring Moon should theoretically creep down to Miss Magius here, right? There's no reason not to. So I think at +2, if we're like almost max speed, I think we would actually be faster than that. Plus, I think almost max speed I think we could creep like a modest Golden Go, because the only reason why Golden Go would not be modest here is if they want to make sure they're faster than Armor Rouge. But the thing is, again, Armor Rouge 1 might not even come. It's a lower tier Pokemon. I mean, it's good, but it's a lower tier on your team. And 2, again, if it does come, there's a chance that it's going to be the the weak armor set, which means like we're going to be faster than Golden Go anyway at +2. So there's really not a ton of reason for them to go timid here. They're probably going to be modest. So if you could take a Golden Go hit, probably like with Tinglu or something early on, and you can see that it's actually modest, you can send in Armor Rouge versus Golden Go, and you can just attack here. You don't got to go for the whole like, endure setup play right away, because you'll be faster. But you need to make sure that you calc correctly if you do this, because sending this in and then you being slower and you just dying is terrible. Like that's horrible. But because I do think this is a Pokemon that can certainly sweep their team with a couple spikes up and just some chips. So I think we would go to I think Golden Go hits 267 if it's modest. Let's see. Yeah, 267. So we'd go to 268, and then we can see if we're at +2. Let's just double check we're faster than Roaring Moon at +1 creeping Miss Magius. Let's do inactive, and let's do +1. Yeah, we would for sure be. So I don't think we would be faster if they're just max. No. I don't know why they would just be max, but if they're creeping normally, like, yeah, we'll be faster than that at +1 too, which is good in case it's Booster or just Scarf or DD, whatever. And then let's just go to let's just check how much we're doing to everything else. So Landorus, we can check how much we're doing to that guy. I forget the +2. Oh.
I could see Lando being split up, actually.
Okay, let's see. Well, even after rocks, unless it's like max Spadef, like it's gonna drop too. So that's not a big deal. Why do you think it'd be Spadef here?
Yeah, the more I look at it, probably not.
Nah, if it's gonna come, it's probably gonna be offensive, I think here. But because like even Fizdef, like it's not gonna really check. It's not gonna check Excalibur. It's not gonna check your Quackleval. So realistically, I think it's gonna probably just be offensive here if it comes. Because Earthquake and Stone Edge just hit pretty much everything besides your Mismagius and I guess Hydrapple, but it'll pack like U-turn or something for that too. So yeah, I do think Landorus, or if they want to bring it just for like rock, so Skarmory can be spikes or something, or maybe like they have a lot of rockers. They have about 4, so they're probably not gonna have all 4, obviously. So if they just want to have rocks on Landorus, they could too. So, but even if it is like worst case Spadef, like this is absolute max Spadef, like. It just takes a little chip, and you're still going to kill that thing with an armor cannon, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay.
Golden Go obviously will drop. Glamora will drop to a Psyshock. Primarina. Let's check Prima. What's its Terra type? Okay, so the good thing about Prima is there's only a 1 in 4 chance of it tearing into something that resists Psychic. So if it's any of these things, then you're free to just hit Psyshock anyway. If it is Terra Steel, then it is a little bit of prediction, but you do have Endure, so you can always click that anyway. Even if you already did it and you're down to 1 HP, you can click it again after you attack, just to see if maybe they do Terra, and then you could attack accordingly. That is probably the only thing that might shut this set down, is if it has Aqua Jet. That's like the only priority, really. I guess Fake Out on Incineroar, but they're not gonna have that. I don't really know if they would fit Aqua Jet on Primarina here, but that is something. Perhaps again, you can always endure and see what they want to do anyway. So let's check.
He has brought like Calm Mind, like just set up sweeping Primarina like every week.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's gonna have Aqua. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that's good though, because we're Psyshock, so we're let's just say they're max HP or whatever. After 1 spike or rock, like you're gonna kill that thing too. So that's good. Skarmory will obviously drop. Terrakion will drop. Whimsicott will drop. Jolteon, I'm assuming will drop to armor cannon. We can check, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Unless like AB, even done, like
yeah. So like literally, that's how good this. If you get this weakness armor, weakness policy set off, like everything is gonna die besides the 2 darks. Well, the darks will die too, actually, since we have Focus Blast, unless something's AB, right? Like Focus Blast will probably kill. Yeah, literally, it'll always kill. So, well, there's like 1 roll probably. There's 1 roll, 392. That won't kill it. So unless it's Assault Vest. So, and if it's Assault Vest, it's going to take probably 25 from rocks if you get them up, or like whatever. So yeah, this is a really, like, if you can just find the right turn to get this off, like this is a really good set that can just win the game for you. So this is a really good win condition in my opinion, I think. And then, we want to support that. I think, Spikes is obviously the first thing that comes to mind supporting it, and Tinglu, like I said earlier, just, looks really, really solid here. So
yeah, but based on like all the weaknesses that I saw, I feel like he dislikes hazards more than me.
He dislikes hazards?
Yeah, like he doesn't like them.
He doesn't
like I am fine with running boot spam. But I don't think he would be.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean that's good for you then. Like honestly, because Spikes hits everything besides the 2 flyers, so
yeah,
that's really strong. I think we just go with Spikes for sure. Tinglu. Again, we're gonna probably send this. This is probably gonna be our initial switch into something like Golden Go if it comes, or maybe even like Glamora. If they have both, probably Golden Go is more important to check because Golden Go is just bigger threat offensively. Like Shadow Ball is pretty good into your team without Tinglu alive. So, but we're gonna. I mean, Tinglu's not gonna take anything from that guy. So we want Spikes. We definitely want Earthquake here. I think what we could also do is run Payback. Payback it'll do a lot of damage to, or not a lot, but it'll do the most damage to like Landorus, for example. The only thing that like Earthquake plus Payback doesn't really hit is Whimsicott, but we're not gonna stay in versus Whimsicott anyway, probably.
Yeah.
And then I think the last slot is probably gonna Whirlwind if I had to just guess, just because so you can Whirlwind the Skarmory out. You do have to be careful of Taunt on Skarmory. Better players for sure would probably run Taunt here just to block the Tinglu. That guy, like you said, this guy is what, 6 and 5 or something, so he knows what he's doing. I'm not sure if he's gonna have Taunt, but I do think you should still always at least go for the Whirlwind and make him show the Taunt. He's probably gonna Taunt right away anyway to try to block Spikes or something, but I do like Whirlwind as the last slot here, unless there's another move that you think could be better here. I don't know if you see anything else.
So I've honestly, I think he's gonna be expecting me to bring something like weakness policy Tinglu because I bring that a lot.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, but I think Whirlwind here is probably fine.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Or like
for
Ruination. It's one of those two.
let's see, Ruination. Ruination could work too. Like, yeah, so like let's say you bring this in versus Glamora, right? And then they should switch, right? What do you think their switching is gonna be? It's probably gonna be, well, if Whimsicott comes, it'll probably be Whimsy. If not, it's probably gonna be Skarmory, or maybe Landorus. So Ruination could be good on those. Skarmory, you would just force them to roost probably. So, but I do think once you bring this in on Golden Go, at least at the first couple times, like you're gonna prioritize spikes over like something like Ruination. So it just depends like how long Tinglu stays up in this game. I do think there's a chance that it could be alive for a while, just because, like I said, it does check a lot of their Pokemon, and even the physical Pokemon like Moon and Landorus. Like Tinglu is gonna be mainly for the special mons, but it's still like so naturally bulky that like it can take a physical hit too if you need it to. So you could run something like Body Press if you want, if you think you might need it for Moon or something, but ideally, like, this is not, for Roaring Moon. So that's just up to you what you think the last slot could be, though. Could be Rock
I think
too.
Whirlwind's fine. I think honestly, like Tinglu, just on preview, is so good here.
Yeah,
I think Whirlwind's fine. I think it helps versus Primarina as well, in case it tries to like calm mind up on me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just generally,
especially if it was like Terra Poison or Steel too. Like you could just Earthquake that guy, so that'd be good too.
I do think it's most likely going to be Terra Fairy, if I had to guess, just because my team is pretty Fairy weak, and it's defensively a really good type, because the only way I can really hit Fairy is like Gigaton Hammer and Poison Jab from Muck. So
yeah, I do think Fairy makes the most sense just looking at this first glance too. Yeah, because just a water move will still do a good chunk to the Steel anyway, and obviously Arm Rouge too, and then they could run like something like Psychic if they want, but I mean water move is still pretty fine for Muck. So yeah, they can certainly just be Calm Mind, Stab, and that's what I'm saying. Like their last slot could be Aqua Jet if they want. It could be something like Encore or just Flip Turn. So they have a lot of I think like choices for their last slot, but they definitely, I think Stab is needed. And then maybe they're not Calm Mind this game too. Like maybe they're just like a Scarf or Specs, then they'd have Flip Turn probably, and then something else. So, but yeah, this is fine. I think for the calc though, I think Leftovers just makes the most sense first, just because we're gonna probably be in a lot this game. But I think for calc we need to look at Golden Go. So we're gonna go to a lefty's number, which is that. But let's check Golden Go, because we're not gonna need max special defense. Like that's overkill, I think. We're probably gonna have actually more Fizz Def. Focus Blast. So I think what we want is we want to make sure we can live either a +2 Focus Blast or just 2 Focus Blasts in general. So obviously here we can easily take it. So let's do Impish for now, and then let's subtract, because again this is mainly for Golden Go. Otherwise Golden Go is gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
So right here at 96 for def means like we're not gonna get, well, we're actually Leftovers too, but they could get up a Spike. So actually let's assume that a Spike is up, worst case scenario for us. Okay, so there is still a chance for it to two-shot after the Spike and lefties. Okay, so we'd have to do 156 if we want to be super safe and assume a Spike is going to be up, which I think is okay. Like, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Why are you doing Impish though?
Because the rest of the EVs are going to go into defense, right? After we see how much Spit F we need. And so you always want your boosting nature to be your highest stat. So here, let me show you. So 156. So let's say we're 244, 156, and then like this, right? And then we were impish, right? So you're wondering why we're impish here?
Hmm.
So yeah, you always want your plus nature to be boosting the highest stat here. Obviously not including HP because you can't boost
Hmm.
HP. Because if you do something like this, let's say something like, okay, hold on, wait, let me go back. Okay, so let me just take a screenshot real quick so we can save these numbers, right? Okay, so this is right now, and then let's do plus def instead. So okay, we actually can't even. Okay, so the only time that you would want to do plus def on Tinglu is if you want to go max because so our defense is actually still higher than our def even if we're max. So like we would have to go plus def anyway, but you get more EVs out of boosting your highest stat nature. So in the set that we had, right? Where is the thing? Okay, in the set that we had, like our our defense was way higher than our SPDEF because we didn't need all that extra SPDEF to take the focus blast. So we want our nature to be boosting defense. I had a scenario. You watched the what did I do? I think I did gouging fire. You watched the team builder, right? So I'll go over it real quick. But basically,
I honestly I got kind of lost there because I wasn't sure what you meant by the highest stat. But
yeah, no,
I
I
think I'm
got
starting
you.
to see it.
I got you. So, okay, so in this scenario, I was Jolly, right? So let's say, okay, so let's say we were something like this, right? So if you look at these numbers here, then let's go to another one, Gouging Fire. Yeah, Tinglu is a bad example just because its defense is so much higher than, its SPDEF. So let's go to 329 attack, right? But let's use an adamant nature instead. 329. Okay, I'll do 330 since it wants to be stupid. Or 328. Okay. So same attack, right? Let's do same HP, which is 56. And then the rest in it speed. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing this quick, so I'm kind of messing up here. Okay, this is better. Okay. So, $328. Okay. All right, so here we go. So if you look at the right number, right, all the EVs on each stat, you can see that on the right gouging fire, we have 5 more HP, right? We have 393 compared to 388. But all the other stats are exactly the same, yet both of these sets use all of the EVs. So why do you get more HP off of this one? It's because we're using the plus attack nature to boost the highest stat. Whereas this one, we're Jolly, but our speed is not the highest stat. Our attack is. So that's why the one with the adamant nature is you're getting more EVs out of your nature. That's just kind of like a general rule. If you can, but again, there's always scenarios where like this Tinglu, for example, where you can't boost your highest defense just because you're already max SPDEF, right? It's only on Pokemon that you can change your nature because the stats aren't like so drastically different, where you always want to make sure your nature is boosting your highest HP. I think I explained it much better in the other thing, but I'm just trying to do it quickly here. Okay. So it still might be a little bit confusing, but that is just like the general rule is if you can make your nature boost your highest attack or your highest stat, like you always want to do that. Okay. So that's why like
something about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear something up about Tinglu, which is that I've heard a lot of things about how investing into HP on Pokemon that have such massive like base HP stats is usually
not good.
suboptimal, but I'm not sure how that works either.
Yeah, so that's true. So something to like another Pokemon that's very popular with is Alamomola because it has such a high damn HP. A lot of times you see just like a set like this, like a set like that, right, with like not very much HP. That's true. Like you typically want to boost the stats that have like lower numbers, but the thing is, our Tinglu is going to be built for mostly for special for special attackers. So if we would do something like, let's say we would do something like this, right? Instead, where we like our SPDEF is the max. We could do that, but again, we're losing out on EVs just because like our plus SPDEF is not the highest stat. So by making our boosting stat defense, we still want to be able to take the special hits like as much as possible, if that makes sense.
Right.
So that's why like you still want to have like a lot in HP for this guy. We could check the calc so you can kind of see a difference too if you want. I'm just trying to remember what we had initially. We had 156, right? So we were like this, but we were plus impish, right? So let's check this, okay? And we'll see like the difference in kind of investing in your lower stack for HP compared to not doing that. So let's check Golden Go. All right, Golden Go. So we were checking Focus Blast. Focus Blast. And then this was, yeah, so this was after leftovers and a spike. Okay. So this is where this would be like our ideal set right now. But and also another thing in still putting your EVs in HP when you have a high HP stat is, so a Pokemon like Tinglu that has high like defenses in both, yes, our main objective with this Tinglu is to check the special Pokemon. But if we were just like this, like let's just say we were 252, and then let's just say we were like, I don't know, 160 or something like that. I don't know if I did that correctly or something. But let's say we were like this, where yes, this makes us take the special hits a lot better because our SPDEF, are lower, but it's maxed out, right?
Yep.
When we said that Tinglu might be in versus something like Landorus or Roaring Moon, we wouldn't take those hits obviously as well because we have less HP and they're physical attackers. So it really comes down to like, do you think like Tinglu, like it only has to check the special attackers and that's it? Because if you do think that's the case, then yes, we can be weaker to Moon and Landorus and Terrakion or whatever, but we would just have to make sure the other Pokemon on this team would be able to check those guys like better. Because if a scenario comes in where we would have to use Tinglu perhaps for one of those guys, there's a chance that maybe we can't take a hit that we otherwise could have. But yeah, you're gonna see like if you just check Roaring Moon, because our HP stat is so high, like we just take a Bandit Outrage, 160 HP compared to like max HP, like that only gives us what, like 2% I think it was, or something like that. 160.
I didn't see.
Yeah, so Outrage is 42 to 50 with this HP compared to 252. Right, it's 40 to 47 compared to 42.
I mean,
to
it's
50.
a big difference because it means you don't. I don't get 2 KO. But
yeah, but the percent wise, I'm saying it's just 2%, just because again your HP is so high. So yes, when people tell you like you should not invest in HP, that's true. That's 1,000,000% true because you're getting more out of your other defenses by making them higher. So that's a question for you. Like, do you think Tinglu should be made to take a couple of the physical hits better, or do you think like you just want to be able to take the special hits as much as possible, like as best as possible?
Here. No, I definitely want Tinglu to cover as many bases as possible. Because I don't think, like, yeah, I think it's mostly here for Goldengo. But it's honestly so good at checking everything else as well. Like it can probably take a Focus Blast and then take like an EQ from Lando, or like take a Focus Blast and an Outrage.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah. It can take a bunch of hits and yeah, I think I want it to definitely be as mixed as possible.
Okay, so then we would do what you said, and we would have max SPDEF and then 140 in HP. I think that's fine. That's a good change. That's good. I'm glad that you caught that. But yeah, or something like, well, there's just like a scenario where something like Blissey too is like obviously the biggest thing. But because Blissey's like SPDEF is usually like is crazy high, kind of like how Tinglu's defense is I think 125. Blissey is a Pokemon that you still usually see like max HP, max def, or max defense, because unless like you really like need to take special hits, even though Blissey takes special hits like the best out of like pretty much anything, you're gonna still put max HP just because it helps your defensive. It helps Blissey take the defensive hits, So
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, like I think those are pretty big examples: Tinglu, Alamamola, and Blissey. Generally, you don't put max HP in a stat that's so high already. Yeah, that's correct. So,
I just wanted to kind of understand how that worked.
Yeah.
So like, thank you for explaining it.
Yeah. So this is our new spread here. So let's actually. So it would be what, 148. Okay, that's good. So yeah. So as you can see, like we're gonna take the Golden Go Focus Blast like even better now. So even if there are spikes up, like again, this is still our main priority, but we're still gonna be able to take take two. And that's another thing too with Payback. I forgot. The Tinglu, I'm sorry, the Golden Go could be on a balloon here. I don't know if it will be, but just in case, like Payback will still hit that guy pretty hard. So that's good. Okay. Anyways, so Tinglu spikes up, in on the special Pokemon. That's good. Support your Arm Rouge. So hopefully you don't have to click Focus Blast twice. But if you do, it is what it is. All right. It might happen. It is what it is. You'll hit two. It don't matter.
Yeah.
So, another Pokemon that looks not bad here is I think Tinkaton actually for like Moon specifically. I do think there's a solid chance that Roaring Moon will run Earthquake here. Yeah, they need Earthquake. Yeah. So it'd probably be I don't know. It could be Stab and then just Earthquake and then a setup move. They could run Acrobatics perhaps too with Booster if they want to hit like Hydra / Quackleval. Or if they're
isn't there a Fairy Mismagius just like completely wall Moon?
Nah, because
I mean it's got really bad defense. In the
yeah,
game,
well that too, but there's a chance that maybe they run Iron Head too, just as a Mega in case Tinkaton maybe is like Balloon or something too. But we can check. We'll just check Banded for worst case scenario for Mr. Mismagius. So yeah, I mean if it's banded, like it can't take two. I mean yeah, you could take one and and kill it back if they do that, but even if like Rocks drop, you can only come in like a couple of times. So I wouldn't probably use Mismagius as kind of like to check where I'm with. It's two. That's another thing too. Like this is obviously like a lower tier Terra League. But I do typically like Terra Pokemon that I think can tank hits a bit better. So something like Primarina I think is an excellent Terra user in this scenario, in this kind of league. But Mismagius could be cool too because it's faster, so you can. I think like kind of just Terra Ghost Scarf or Terra Ghost Spec sets would probably be pretty good.
Actually, the main set I had for Mismagius here was well I don't have the set, but I was thinking like initially when I was thinking of WinCons, I didn't think of Armouge, which I do think is better than what I was thinking of.
Okay.
I do think Armouge is great, but my initial thought was like a mix of Quackable and Bax with like Clear Amulet. I know they have double Intimidate, so that's why like I was thinking about Clear Amulet because Quack in particular pressures like pretty much everything except Primarina, and then I was thinking like everything that Quack and Bax can't like Quack and Bax both get kind of walled by Primarina. Assuming it doesn't like Terra.
Yeah.
But and they also kind of get walled by Skarmory somewhat.
Yeah.
But there's a mon that hits both Primarina and Skarmory, which is either Regieleki or Terra Electric Mismagius. So I was thinking maybe Terra Electric Mismagius.
Yeah. So I did.
Work.
Yeah, so I did see Aleki. I actually do think Aleki this is actually not a bad matchup for him. I know there is a Landorus, obviously, which typically kind of stops Aleki, and then there even is like a Volt Absorb Jolteon too. But I do think Aleki could be solid here, especially like maybe like a physical set. You could also like even use like Explosion too, just to literally eliminate one thing if you want.
Yeah.
I do think that's possible. Yeah. I do think Mismagius for sure. Yeah, no, that's a good thought. I do think for sure Mismagius is going to come. I think Mismagius though what could be a cool set is kind of like a lead Mismagius with Focus Sash, right? Because what do you think is like the worst case scenario, like is a bad lead versus our Mismagius for them, or like a bad lead for us that they could lead versus Mismagius?
Versus Mesmagus.
Yeah.
Glamora.
So it could maybe, but so 1 year faster. So the reason why I think Mismagius like a Sash League could be good here is so you'd be Terra Ghost here if you would do this specific set. Just because you should be able to two-shot pretty much anything on this team, and the things that are faster, like a Roaring Moon or potentially like a Landorus or something, versus Landorus, right? We would have Icy Wind probably, so that would do a shitload to it. Plus, if it's not Scarf, I think you're going to be faster anyway. Plus, Icy Wind does cover like something switches, like you'll be faster the following turn. But a lot of the things that you're faster than, like Lamora or Primarina or Skarmory or something like Golden Goat, whatever, like Terra Ghost Shadow Ball is gonna two-shot majority of things. They would have to probably be like Assault Vest Primarina or something to live too. And obviously you would carry something like Dazzle and Gleam for like a Roaring Moon lead. I don't know if they would lead Roaring Moon, but again, unless they just like lead Scale Shot for some crazy reason, like that could be something that goes wrong for you. But I think that's something that might be worth the risk, again, because you could beat Terra Fairy, so like I don't know why they would lead. You could like show Terra Fairy before like the game starts, like they won't know that you're gonna be Terra Ghost. So I don't know if that would be like a lead idea from them. I'm not really too sure. And again, we're probably gonna have Tinkaton, which is a pretty solid Roaring Moon check, so I don't know why they would just straight Scale Shot, but they could. But yeah, the reason I'm getting with is so I'm hoping it would, best case scenario would be that this type of Mismagius set, I'll just do it real quick, it would be like Dazzling Gleam, Icy Wind, and then probably Power Gem, just so you can hit that Incineroar. Yeah. So the reason why you would be like this type of set, and I think, oh yeah, see my thing is going a little slow. Okay, so if you're modded, you'd actually be like exact speed tie with Landorus. Again, I don't know if Landorus is just going to be absolute max speed. It doesn't make any sense. But if you were this set, right? Best case scenario is if they would lead their dark types, you would think, oh shit, like that sucks, I gotta switch or something. No, like you can severely dent one of them. If it's Incineroar, you're gonna be faster, so you can hit it twice. Or if it's Roaring Moon and they don't Scale Shot, like Dazzling Gleam, it might not OHKO him because it does have pretty good SPDF, but it'll do so much to the point where that's one less Focus Blast that you have to land, right, for your Armarouge to win the game. So I think this type of set does like help your win condition, and if you do get a good lead matchup, like say versus Golden Go or even versus Glamora, like you said it might be bad, but as long as 2 Shadow Balls can take it out if you're Terra Ghost, which obviously it will because this is Fairy right now, that's good for you. Like, what are they gonna do versus you? Are they gonna click rocks? Are they gonna just attack you with like a Power Gem? Like, what are they gonna do? If they click rocks, then you still have your Sash, so you could dent something else too. And if you click Power Gem, like, okay, if they click Power Gem, okay, you just took out their only remover, so they're gonna be playing with Spikes up on the rest of for the rest of the game. So I think there's a lot of Pokemon where like this thing can just get you a big lead. Something worst case would probably be where you don't get a ton is if they lead Roaring Moon / Landorus and maybe they're Scarfed or they just have U-turn, and they U-turn into like maybe like Incineroar or something on the Shadow Ball. Then your Sash is broken. Then you can hit him for Power Gem next turn, but then you'll dead a knockoff, so you won't technically get a kill or anything. But I do think there are lots of likely leads, like Skarmory, Glamora, even Golden Go, like that. This set will put you ahead. I know you're using your Terramon like early, but the problem with this Mismagius is it just dies very easily. So if they get a Stealth Rock up or something and you can't remove it, like you can come in and unless you're like, if you're not like Specs or anything, you're probably not gonna just like OHKO something, and like you get revenged pretty easily, I think. So that's why I think you can get a lot out of this type of set if you lead with this Mismagius set. But I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. It's just something that I think could help your Armarouge in the long game, and it could give you a lead early on in the game, which I think is always nice. So
I have brought Stash Miss Maggie's a couple times.
Yeah.
But usually when I bring it so you know like the standard like Dragapult set and like OU. That's like Wisp, T-Wave,
Oh yeah.
Hex,
Yeah.
Darts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd usually try to like just make a budget Dragapult from Miss Maggie's sometimes. But I don't think that particular set would be
So
that
you
good here.
so
I
you
don't
would
know.
be like Sash with like status?
Yeah, just like Sash status with like Hex. But I don't know how I feel about that here. Because he has like Goldengo, he has two T-Wave immunities
Yeah.
besides Goldengo.
Yeah. It's
I don't really get to wisp anything other than like, I mean, I guess Moon and I guess I can wisp a couple things. I don't know. But,
yeah, it's a bit tricky, especially because like, especially if they have like Incineroar, like you don't know what their switching's gonna be. So if you're in front of a lander, it's like, are you gonna click Thunder Wave expecting Incineroar? Like it could be you could.
yeah.
There's a couple of ways that you could kind of just get nothing out of it, which could be tragic for your Terra user. So that's why I think just simply 4 attacks is best. And again, if you get like a decent lead, if you get a lead to that, you think they're gonna switch. Like you can always like Icy Wind, so then you're faster and everything anyways after. But realistically, I'd probably only Icy Wind versus yeah, versus Landero. And again, if they go first, if we're like this spread, if they go first and they click like U-turn or knockoff or something, they have to be Scarf. Like this would mean we're absolutely speed tied with if they're max speed Landorus, which you know, this guy is 6 and 5. He's probably not just doing max speed on everything. I would hope not. So that's
No, surprisingly, he's been doing pretty well. So I definitely don't want to like sleep on him or anything.
Yeah, exactly. So he's not gonna be just max speed Landers. If he's faster, he's Scarf. Otherwise, you're faster, and you'll do a good chunk. You probably won't Oko with Icy Wind just because Icy Wind is so weak as the space power, but you'll do certainly over half, and then you could probably pick him off with a Shadow Ball the following turn or catch something on the switch. So, and if they do lead Primarina, like that's their Terra Captain too, and you're safe to hit Shadow Ball. Like he doesn't have a type that he can resist Shadow Ball, so
yeah,
that's really good for you. I'm trying to think what would be like a hard click versus their leads. I mean, I think everything is pretty straightforward. Like you would just Dazzling Gleam the Moon, Icy Wind the Landorus, and then probably just Shadow Ball literally everything else, and then power Gem the Incineroar. So it's a pretty like simple base lead, but I do think you can get a lot out of this thing. So my Showdown's being a bit slow. Let me refresh this real quick. But yeah, as that refreshes, you said you liked Quack, you liked Bax, Aleki. Yeah, so I think the last 3 Pokemon would probably be 3 of... Well, I mean, Torn's pretty good too. It would probably be 3 out of these 5. So like Torn, Quack, Tinka, Aleki, Bax. I don't think we're bringing Muck here. I don't think we're bringing Hydrapple here.
I was considering Mug just because of I hate Glamora. So,
oh, Glamora.
But yeah.
The problem is it doesn't really do a ton to Glamora though, right? Like I think it does get some sort of like ground coverage. Like
I guess like Mud Shot, I think.
Yeah, but that's yeah, no, that'd be kind of crazy. I don't think because we have if we bring well, I mean if we bring Quack, if we bring Bax or even Torn, like even Tinglu too, like everything can hit Glamora pretty hard on this team. Even Tingenton too, right? So like I don't think we have to worry too much about Glamora here, to be honest, but we'll see. So if this is our set, right, if we just literally just max, because we don't need like HP on this, right? We're focused actually, it doesn't really matter. This guy's not the bulkiest, right? So
yeah,
I do think I think Tingenton might be better than everything else so far, just because like you can get a lot out of Tingenton, and you can even make it really fast to outspeed Landorus too, and you can give it a Shuka Berry. So like, there's a lot of Pokemon that might proc the Shuka, like Landorus, Terrakion, and Roaring Moon.
I did actually come up with a Tinkaton set,
and Glamora too.
But
yeah,
it's very niche. I don't know if I'll really have to like bring that. But my thought process was just that obviously I want Tinkaton to come in to be like a spin blocker, right?
Yeah.
Especially because corrosion doesn't work on mortal spin.
Yeah.
But I was kind of scared that he would like predict that and be corrosion toxic.
So that's
And then
certainly,
my Tinkaton will get toxic.
yeah, that certainly can be a thing. But so
Mhm.
if you have a couple like spikes up, like say you have 2 spikes up, like it's still honestly in your interest that you do bring it in, because you will block the main thing is you block the spin. Really, yes, you can get toxic, which sucks, but you keep the spikes up, which is probably like the more important thing. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And that set could certainly come too, just because like Tinglu is a pretty good switch into Glamora.
Yeah.
So getting a toxic on Tinglu would be pretty good for them. So yeah, that can certainly come. I don't really think there's anything you could do about that though. Like I don't really think you could be like Lumberry if you want, but I think Shuka
Well,
is a lot
actually,
more.
the set that I was thinking of was Resto Chusto, but
Oh,
that's
right.
probably
So,
bad. So I don't know.
Mm, yeah, I'm not. Uh,
It was just a thought. Like I don't really
it
know.
it no, it can be good. It's just if we put Tinkerton on the team, we need to make sure like we don't just auto lose to something like a setup Roaring Moon or Landorus, because without the Sugarberry, like we're gonna need like something else. We're probably gonna have to have like Tornadus, like kind of a bulkier Tornadus that can come in on it. But that's kind of why I like the Shukaberry, just because it's a lot safer and you don't have to just kind of like lose to Roaring Moon. You're probably gonna use Tinglu as your initial switch in to Glamora if spikes are not up yet. But if you wanna swim, like, yeah, you can certainly bring Tinkaton. You can bring Tinkaton to Glamora, and like I said, I think a very fast Tinkaton, like faster than Landers, almost max speed, would be good here because you can do a shitload of damage to a lot of things. You would probably run something like, well, you'd be own tempo here too, actually, so you don't take the Intimidate drop.
Yeah, and then like Ice Hammer, right?
Yeah, you would run like Ice Hammer. You could run Rocks if you want Rocks, because that's going to probably be your only other rocker, and you don't have Rocks in this guy, which is fine. Like, Rocks Hazards is good. You would probably want something like Knockoff, though, because they do have double steals, and those are obviously like the best switch-ins to Tinkaton. So just so you're not completely like, you can get something out of the turn if you think they're going to switch Knockoff. And then probably just play rough, just to make sure you have something just to one-shot to play the Moon. So your hardest hitting move versus Glamora would be Knockoff, but realistically, unless you show all 4 moves, like they should not, stay in anyway, because they obviously drop to a Gigaton. And Play Rough is just really solid for everything else, like Play Rough, Ice Hammer, and then just Knockoff, like, because you're not going to do a lot of damage anyway to something like Golden Ghost Armory. So that would probably be the set I'd run with if you want Rocks. If you don't want Rocks, you can run Gigaton as the last slot, or you can run something else like Encore, or maybe Thunderwave or something. But that's just kind of your preference, what you think would work here.
I think it depends on the EVs.
Okay, yeah, so
Like
let's...
if we end up making it offensive, then I think Gigaton would be better than Rock.
Okay, so let's check the Play Rough. We said Ice Hammer and Knockoff, right? So yeah. I do think if we are going to run Ice Hammer to catch that Landorus, we do want to be pretty much max speed to make sure we're faster. So that would go to like 310, right? So let's check take a ton versus Ice Hammer versus Landorus. Ooh. Okay, so this is no bulk. So we would probably want enough EVs to we would probably need like max just to make sure we even, yeah, we would need almost max. So we could do pretty much none and just accept that, we're not gonna chip it a little bit, or we could do 3 things. We can do none if you want just a lot of bulk and just kind of hope that we can chip it a little bit, which I do think there's a good way to chip it a little bit, which is kind of like a helmet on maybe Tornadoes or something, but we're not doing that yet. We could do almost max to make sure like we always OHKO it if it's no bulk, or we can do a little bit to KO it after Stealth Rock. The thing is though, like this would also be our Stealth Rocker, so we would have to get it in first, Stealth Rocks, and then that calc would come into play later if we would do that. So I don't really think there's like a best option. I probably wouldn't go like max to make sure we OHKO it, like, because one, it could be bulky too, so this might not even work. I think you either go like pretty much little attack or no attack, or you run enough to where it would KO after rocks, which would be like right here, 104. So that's up to you. I mean, we could check versus other guys too, maybe like Terrakion or Play Rough, not Gigaton. Let's see how much Play Rough is doing. Okay, so we're not going to be able to
Nah, not even close.
No. What else would we be hitting? Moon, I'm pretty sure we always KO because it's 4 times. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
And then knockoff is just for like items and stuff. So yeah, it's really just that Landorus calc, I think, what you want to do with it. Let's check if it's like bulky, like defensive. Like this is just max defense. Like, well, if it's max defense, yeah, we would still be slower though, unfortunately, after we take the drop, barely. Yeah, if it's max defense, I mean, we're doing over half, but that's about it. So yeah, I don't know. It's up to you. Me personally, I would probably do like none or little to none. But
yeah, I think none is better simply because we would really only EV attack for Lando, so like that just seemed worth it.
Okay, so if you want to do none,
yeah.
What do you think the last slot would be then? Would it be rocks or Gigaton or another utility move?
Because we're gonna be, you know, like not super offensive, then I think rocks are fine.
Okay. Let's do rocks, and then you want to do Shuka?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think there's a high chance that Shuka gets popped here. And then also if it's Scarf too, then you have the Choco Berry for Landorus too, like that could work. So
yeah.
But ideally it's for the moon. So I do think it's better just to kind of go max HP here, just because our SPDF is obviously already pretty high, but if we would go, our defense is a little bit lower, but if we go max defense, like I said, we might need to use this to take a hit from like Glamora or something too. So, and the HP and defense isn't too different. So if you look at the calc for like this compared to like this for a defensive Pokemon, for like a physically offensive Pokemon, it's not going to be a huge difference. But the max HP will also like let us help versus the special hits too. So I do think this is probably just an ideal set right here. And that's fine.
Yeah, like
now,
that.
Yeah, and now we need. So we have Torn, Bax, Quack, and Regieleki. We need 2 out of the 4. We need 1 of Regieleki / Quackavall, I think, just because removal, because I do have the ability to spike stack us as well. So I do think Oleki or Quack, and then probably Torn or Bax would be the other slot, I think. So
yeah, coming into this, I definitely had more of a boot spam vision in mind. So I didn't think too much about which of the 2 would be better at removing hazards here.
Okay.
But I think standalone, it's probably Quack.
Okay.
Just because I think Regieleki is, like I said, good at supporting, good at hitting the things that Quack and Bax can't hit. But if Quack and Bax are not my win cons, then I don't think Regieleki makes that much sense here.
Okay. Yeah, so let's go with Quack then so we're certainly gonna have rapid spin then. Dang, why is Showdown being so slow right now? What the heck? Anyways, so we'll look at the matchup while it loads. I don't know, that's weird.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have spin, right? So yeah, there's 2 mons that do wall Quackavall stabs first, which is Prima, Preterra, and Whimsicott. They do resist both of the stabs. And then, like you said, Skarmory 2 is not going to take over half from a Quackavall hit, unless it's like, you know, like Banded Wave Crash maybe. But if it is, and it's helmet, like recoil plus helmet, like you're going to basically be killing yourself. Yeah. So there's a lot of things to consider here for Quackavall. 1 is the item, and then 2, do you want a coverage move? Do you want just U-turn / flip turn? What do you think? What type of Quackavall do you think here would be good?
I actually did. Quackavall was pretty much one of the first mons I looked at, so I did kind of think about different sets I could bring. The first one that came to mind, like I said, was Clear Amulet, but if it's not my win con, then I don't think that makes too much sense. I also thought of Adrenaline Orb,
Mhm.
with like SD, but
Yep.
again, not
That's
really a
cool.
win con, so
Yep.
I don't know. But if it's gonna be like a bulky spinner, I think knockoff is really important to hit gold and go,
Yep.
right? Or
Yep.
unless it doesn't really need it, I don't know. Yeah, so
Um.
just like spin, knock, CC, aqua step,
Yeah. So.
and just like a helmet, the physically offensive or something.
Oh, I don't know if I'd be helmet because if you're helmet, like you probably want to do roost. I like the moves that you said
Right.
though. I think the moves make a lot of sense. Because removing an item is always good. I do think Skarmory is probably gonna be helmet, so just getting rid of that too could be clutch. I'm trying to think, how could you take advantage? Is there any way Quackball could take advantage of Skarmory coming in? Whimsicott's kind of hard. If they bring Whimsicott, you can't really do anything because they can always Encore you, stunts for you after. Dang, Showdown is just.
Maybe Triple Axel is worth bringing, but I don't know.
I'm an Axel hater. Plus, when I think there's a helmet user, that's just not. I don't think that's ideal here. Pads I think could be cool, but I don't really know if you need pads either if you're just gonna knock and get rid of the helmet anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it'd be cool if Shodan could load. But...
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. What are you gonna bring Quackball? What are you gonna bring Quackball into? So. You can't really switch it into anything per se. Yeah, it would be Incineroar if they have it. But
the reason I wanted Clear Amulet was because it is a good Incineroar parting shot blocker as well.
Oh, that's
but I
true.
guess it could just be U-turn. So
Yeah. I'm trying to think. This Quackball. This is actually kind of tricky. What kind of? Because they do have a lot of things that kind of annoying for it. You could.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you could try to do maybe some sort of cheeky bulk up set to try to maybe just beat the Skarmory one-on-one. If you're let's say you your bulk up root. Nah, because then you need spin too.
Yeah. Imagine if this thing got Drain Punch. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. You could do maybe bulk up roost aqua step spin. But you still lose if it's iron defense or something. You don't beat that.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Okay, so
I could always just make Regieleki the spinner.
Yeah, you could. I'm gonna go ahead and just pause the video real quick. All right, so I just restarted that real quick. You did say Aleki possible too.
Yeah.
Aleki, it. Like I said, I did see that at first, and I did think it'd be cool. Obviously the lander stops it, but Aleki is just really solid. One, maybe they just don't bring landers for some crazy reason because maybe they're scared of Quack plus Ice Shard, and Torn does a lot to it too. So maybe they don't bring it, and if they don't bring it, just Volt Switch is always nice. Plus that thing is so damn fast. You can make it outspeed a Scarf Terrakion, or even the Mooring Moon, probably speed creeping the Mismagius at +1. So I don't know. I think it could come in, and you could always throw it in versus something like Skarmory too. Obviously, you'll take a lot probably from a body press or something, but I do think Aleki is solid here. I think they're both fine. I don't think there's a better one, to be honest. I'd probably just do Aleki because I like Torn as a Pokemon here, and that would work. But if you want to go Quack backs, you can always do that too. So maybe do you want to try to think of a Baxcalibur set first to kind of maybe make a better Quack set? I don't know.
Okay, well. Okay, if the spinner is between Quack and Regieleki, the 6 Pokemon would be between Thorn and Bax, right?
You should, yeah. I think realistically, I think there's rare matchups where Torn should ever be benched. That's how good it is, but certainly can be benched. So yeah, I think you either go Quack Bax or probably Torn Aleki here.
Right. I think it's Torn Aleki here.
Okay. Real quick.
Just because.
Yeah, go ahead. Why do you like Torn and Aleki?
Yeah, sorry. Just because Bax and Quack, I think, kind of struggle with the double intimidate. Mostly.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Max Keller just could be cool for like a Ice Shard Revenger, but um, again, Skarmory is probably gonna come. Primarina walls both of its stab, so it's just hard. Or maybe even Golden goes on a balloon too. Like that would just completely pretty much wall your backs unless you run like Crunch or something, which you're not gonna run Crunch here. Doesn't really make any sense. You definitely run Earthquake because it just hits Glim, Incineroar, Golden Go, Jolteon. Like it just hits a lot of things harder. So. Um, I do think Torn plus Aleki probably is a little bit better here, and you probably wouldn't even need like an offensive Torn here. You could probably run. Well, you can. I was thinking more of a defensive one to be honest with Helmet. Remember I mentioned the Helmet to chip that Landorus.
I like that.
Yeah, and it can obviously work versus like Roaring Moon too or something. Terrakion, you're probably just gonna die to Stone Edge, but I do think you want speed to be faster than. So this is something where I think you would think, oh, just be almost max speed to be faster than Moon. I actually think you don't do that. I think you actually go to Terrakion speed here, just because one, like we said earlier, Roaring Moon should, in theory, speed creep the Mismagius, so you would still be faster if you creep the Terrakion with Torn. But two, if it's like a defensive Helmet Pokemon like we anticipate, I do think you're gonna probably run U-turn, and so if you bring it in on Roaring Moon, for example, like there's a solid chance that it's either gonna be boost your speed or Dragon Dance. So you would be slower anyways after that boost. Plus, so you'll get more bulk. So if it is just like an attacking moon, like let's say it knocks off or something, it'll take the helmet or whatever, and then you could calc like if it's adamant or whatever based on the damage. Maybe it's banded or something. You never know. And then you can make a switch in accordingly too. Like you could pivot into Tinkaton after if you want, or you can pivot into something like Tinglu if you don't need a Tinglu anymore. Like it just depends. So I don't think it's because if you're faster than Roaring Moon as well, like and you U-turn, like it's a bit scary because you don't know what the heck is gonna click. So you could go into you would probably have to go Tinkaton because like it wouldn't make sense for him to click Earthquake, on a Torn. So like Tinkaton would probably be safe. But I think like the extra bulk plus again you are probably gonna be faster than him if he is speed creeping, or you're going to be slower than him regardless if he's boosting his speed. So that's why I think like, and plus Tornadus doesn't one-shot Roaring Moon. There's just no way, even if you run like Focus Blast or something. I don't think you're going to run Focus Blast, but if you do,
I was considering it, but
you could for like the two dark types, yeah. But I think you definitely need. I think you just want Hurricane just to. As a good stab for like Landorus and Whimsicott and Primarina, whatever. But you're gonna want definitely Heat Wave, right?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna. This is probably gonna be your initial Skarmory switch in because Torn like Skarmory can't do anything to Tornadus, right? Even if it like Iron Defense is like Brave Bird, you're gonna be Helmet too. So like this is a really solid Skarmory switch in. So Heat Wave would be good. It would be good for Golden Go too. I guess Whimsicott too if you want to say. But then you have to look at like, okay, if you're gonna Heat Wave versus Skarmory, what is gonna be like? What do you think their switching might be to Skarmory or to Tornadus?
You're switching to Torn.
Yeah, it's like let's say it's Torn versus Skarmory. Like, what do you think their play is gonna be? You think?
Well, can't be. It's probably not Goldengo because it can get Heat Wave.
No, yeah, definitely not Goldengo.
You can turn on it as well. Maybe Glamora?
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. So I think it's Glamora because one, it'll take the Heat Wave, or if you want Flying Move, if they go for it, if you think you're gonna switch. Two, it covers the Heat Wave, and then three, even if you do U-turn, like you said, like they might get the Toxic Debris. If they are, that's at two. So what I'm trying to get at is I actually think Psychic would be a good move here. And then probably U-turn is last. So Psychic definitely won't, like Heat Wave into Psychic won't kill Glamora unless it's chipped for sure. But it'll certainly do two, and you could probably live a Power Gem if you want to take that risk. Probably not worth it initially, because they can also just be something like Meteor Beam, which would definitely like one-shot you. But if you have a couple spikes up, like Heat Wave into Psychic might just straight out just kill the Glamora. So then you wouldn't even have to switch. So with these 4 moves, let's say you're like this set right here, the only thing that you don't hit really insanely hard is, well, I guess Jolteon would probably take like maybe 30 to 40 from Psychic.
I know you say like don't assume information, but there's like no way Jolteon's coming here, right?
I think it might actually come. Like, there's like Tinglu, yes, Tinglu hard counters that thing. Like, there's nothing it can do.
Yeah, it doesn't get Signal Beam anymore.
No, like it can't do anything to Tinglu. But like if you take Tinglu out of the picture, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it still can't do a ton to backs, and then like Muck and Hydra Apple too. Actually, they don't really take much. So, I wouldn't say this isn't a scenario where I would say like it's for sure not coming, just because like something like Torn or Quackavoll or like even like Miss Magius, like it's faster than and it can hit pretty hard. So I wouldn't say no. Like 0%, I do think it's out of the entire team. It's probably their second to least likely to come behind like Whimsicott, I think. So
yeah, I think Arakion, Whimsicott, and Jolteon are the only ones that I don't see coming.
I can see
Terrakion. Because I see all the other ones coming.
Yeah, I can see Terrakion coming, just because if it's like a rock polish set, like it could be a little bit hard. Like it does hit everything, pretty hard with CC plus Stone Edge. So
yeah, it kind of beats lead Miss Maggie as well. I was kind of thinking about that.
So we can check that calc real quick. So what do you think their item would be if they lead Terrakion? Do you think it would just be like Sash or?
I've seen him run Scarf lead Terrakion.
Scarf?
Or maybe Scarf.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something where you would only get half, and then you would get broken down to Sash. I'm trying to think what could be a play into that. For our last Pokemon is a Lecky, we're saying. Yeah, that might be a bit problematic. So what you could do is you could run Will-O-Wisp if you want, if you're that scared of it, over another move. If you would, I would probably run it. I'd probably run it over Deagling then, because then you could at least you could still burn the Roaring Moon if they leave with that. Or you could make it Terra Fairy and Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam. I don't know if that kills it though. No, it doesn't.
No.
What's your other Terra type? Electric. Yeah, so if you're scared of Terrakion lead, that you would just change this to Will-O-Wisp, I think. So you could do that if you want. It's up to you.
I do like Gleam for Moon. I don't know if I really need it though.
If you're running Willow, you would just Willow. So I highly doubt they would substitute turn 1 versus Miss Magius, because you can obviously run the Dazzling Gleam. I do think Icy Wind is good for Landorus though. Maybe like we don't think it's how much let's check how much Power Gem even does to Incineroar too. Doesn't look like it's gonna do that much, I don't think. Does like 30. Yeah.
Gleam almost does the same amount.
Well, yeah, this is Terra Fairy though too.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it does like 30. So if they lead Incineroar, what you could do is you could always just go, assuming this is like Helmet, like you said, you could just go this and then U-turn. So we can take off Power Gem if you want, and then just do Willow for that track.
I like that.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're not like
Lum
or Taunt, maybe. I don't know.
Oh yeah, they could be Taunt.
Yeah, but I still think you go for it anyway. Because if they're Taunt, then they're not Scarf at least. So they're probably Sash, right, to guess. So what you could do is if they Taunt your Willow, you could Icy Wind and then Dazzling Gleam, or you could just Shadow Ball once and then go from there and do whatever you want to do. So
Yeah.
but you definitely Terra too, obviously your ghost. So back to this guy. So we were talking about the speed, right? Yeah, so I do think you speed creep Tarak though with Psychic, because that means that's one less, Hurricane you have to hit too. I think it's solid. And I don't really see a better move than these 4 unless you want to run Focus Blast. Or
I
not.
actually doesn't Focus Blast do the same damage as Psychic
To what?
to Glamora?
No, because it's neutral versus Glamora. Psychic is super effective. So this
Yeah,
goes to
it's
180.
not stab.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
stab. If it was stab, then yeah, it would do the same. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Then yes, Psychic is fine. I think
yeah,
that looks fine to me.
again, you would probably only Psychic if it is in range of dying. I wouldn't click it just because you might die, or maybe you feel like, unless if you already know like the Glamora is like a kind of like a set that doesn't like threaten a one shot, maybe you can do it then if you want. But again, you have a Tinglu and you have a Tinkaton, so I don't think Glamora is too much of a problem. So okay, so we said we're gonna speed creep Tarak, and like I said, I do think it's better just to be bulky here, like pretty defensive.
Yeah.
Because again, so you could throw this in versus Landorus if it U-turns, if it knocks off, like you're getting chip on it. Same thing with Roaring Moon. And if Incineroar comes, like you could do Incineroar too. Realistically, like you're gonna get some helmet chip on something, right? Let's see if we can actually live a Moon hit if it's boosted up. So let's go Torn versus Roaring Moon. Dragon Dance, let's say it's booster attack. Okay, so if it's booster attack, let's say it goes to +1, 2, you're gonna die. Yeah, you're probably gonna die at least. So if Roaring Moon comes in and it's shows booster attack, you can go Torn, because if it just attacks, actually would Outrage would probably kill you, but Outrage would be kind of crazy because you have a Tinkaton. Okay, it actually doesn't kill you. So if it shows booster attack, you can go Tornadus initially, because if it just attacks, you're gonna live. And then plus, if it's booster attack, it's probably gonna be slower. It should be slower, because again, it shouldn't just be like, this shouldn't be the spread. Like it shouldn't be max speed. But if you're scared of it being faster than you for some reason, you can take the hit and then you could hard switch. Or if you think you'll be faster, you can U-turn, because getting a U-turn chip on this thing, it would be, very nice. But if they show booster attack and you switch it in and then they Dragon Dance, you're not totally like screwed, because again, let's see, Tingaton probably still takes the Earthquake. Well, let's check, because that's pretty strong. +1 booster attack, it's strong. I'm trying to think if we just kind of lose to this guy. No, we don't actually. Okay, no, so you still do tank a hit.
Wait, what does it say about Snow?
Oh, it's Roaring Moon. I don't know. It just
okay.
glitched out.
I got confused for a second.
Yeah, it's Roaring Moon.
Okay.
Yeah, booster attack +1. Yeah, so maybe it might be in your best interest, if you're just scared of Roaring Moon, to kind of try to preserve health on Tinkaton if you can. Just for the initial like switch in, so you know if it's like booster or whatever. But again, we still have this guy too. So like there's no set that'll just straight up just kill you. If you send in Arm Rouge versus like a boosted Moon, like yeah, it's kind of suspicious, but you still like might have to, like you're gonna endure anyway, like you might have to. So you're never really out until like this guy dies. Only if they're like booster speed and then they Dragon Dance, then they'll be faster anyway after your +2 weak armor. But if they're that set, then they're not going to be as strong. So Torn would take a hit, Tinkaton would take a hit, and all that stuff. So, and I do think with Aleki as a last stop, like we're probably gonna, I think like I said, the explosion set is probably better, because one, you can still be faster than the Moon too, unless it's like max speed. Like if it's doing that whole speed creeping, we can probably make Aleki be faster, or like faster than Scarf Tarak too. And then we could probably go on extreme speed too. So it's not going to do a ton, but I think if we would run like rapid spin, extreme speed, explosion, and then probably volt switch, I think would be the electric click here. I think that's a pretty good set. So you do have a couple of like revenging options again, and plus we're forgetting like it could be chipped from spikes too. Like we want to get spikes up this game. So I do think like this game plan is pretty solid here. If we do run like this set, so this team might seem a little bit weird to you because like not a lot of our Pokemon have like are invested into attack, right? It's really just Armarouge, Mismagius, which is we're probably gonna lose in the early turns, and then Alecki will have their the attack invested, but it's gonna have a lot of speed too. So if we go Alecki here, let's just say we're not gonna be minus attack or Spadef or special attack because we're gonna have both, I think, and our defenses aren't very high anyway. We'd probably be naive because again we want to be faster than not that much. Scarf Terrakion. So I think that would need 520, right? Because I think it hits 518. Terrakion. $519. So 520 would be faster, and then Roaring Moon again. I'm pretty sure if let's just go inactive for now. Yeah, like we said, it would be a little bit slower than Terrakion if they speed creep Mismagius. So we would still be faster than our booster speed or 1DD Moon too. Again, he can obviously be max speed Moon if they're just like throwing max and everything, but they really shouldn't. Explosion and Volt Switch. So Volt Switch is just there. One, maybe their ground type is dead or doesn't come. Like Volt Switch is just nice to click, but Explosion is going to be the good click just to get rid of something that threatens your team. Obviously spin for hazards, and then Extreme could come into clutch. It's really not going to be that strong, but it's base attack.
Well, maybe I go Adamant here.
Well, we want to be faster than the Scarf Terrakion, right? Or / the Moon. Like having something faster than those can be very clutch. If you go Adamant, you can't. You're not going to be faster. So that's why I think we need the plus speed here. I do think we're going to just fill out the rest of the EVs in attack and special attack. It's what you think you want more in, basically. I know we have 3 physical attacks, but another thing too is like you want to click Volt Switch kind of as much as possible here.
Right.
So I don't really think there's a right answer here. If you want more special attack or attack, we can check like some explosion calcs if we need like a certain amount of attack to like KO something. If you want, we could do that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, so let's go Regieleki. I hate dual screens on Alecki. I think that's a waste, but I see so many people doing it. So, unless there's like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Explosion. Okay, so let's check versus Roaring Moon. This is minus attack too. Let's get that out of there. Okay.
Yeah, Regieleki is honestly pretty good.
Yeah, it's a fun mon too for sure. If you can get like a decent enough matchup, like I can certainly put in work. So this is doing a decent chunk. We can make it maybe kill after like a rock and a spike or something. I'm trying to think what else are we gonna use it for. Yeah, it really pretty much only explode versus like Landorus or Moon if you want. Probably Moon if like you're under threat, but again we have pretty solid stuff for Moon. So we could add a little bit of attack here. So
just make sure it kills after spikes or rocks or something.
1 spike and 1 rock, yeah. Or 3 spikes if you happen to get 3 spikes up. This is no bulk though too, so that's another thing. It's probably not going to have 0 bulk. Let's check Skarmory, Volt Switch. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be Phys Def, so it probably should just be max HP, but what if you do max? Yeah, so the only thing like would suck with Aleki is if we are like pretty much like not a lot of special attack and we Volt Switch versus Skarmory, and we don't kill it. That would kind of suck. Let's check perma. Permarina would die. We can honestly probably do more attack. Make sure we'll kill. Well, this is only 80.
I would like Volt Switch to kill Skarmory after rocks.
After rocks? Okay.
Yeah.
So this would be an attack to make sure we kill with explosion on this guy if it's like a calm minding thing that's annoying you. And this is after a rock and a spike. So, but we can check also Skarmory. So we wanted to do 88 to it.
Wouldn't it? Well, but that's just leftovers, right?
Oh, you wanted okay leftovers too. So that'd be like
No. Like it would be. Oh, you said 88?
Yeah, after rocks.
Yeah, I thought you said 98.
No, 88 after rocks. So it would be something like this. I think would be solid, like 108 and 184. We'd probably still have some left over. Yeah, we would. We still have 68 left over. What else? What else? Maybe we could check some extreme speed calcs.
Yeah.
It's not going to be doing a ton to a lot of things, but you never know. Let's check versus Landorus. It does like quarter. It's not bad. It's offensive and it's not too much bulk. Roaring Moon. About the same. How about the Terrakion? How much are we doing with Volt Switch to Terrakion? Because we're going to be faster. We don't have Volt Switch. Okay, we do about 40. I think it's probably better off just to put the rest in special attack. Just because like we checked the explosion calcs, like adding more attack isn't gonna really change much of like a rapid spin or extreme speed damage, I don't think. So, and we want to be clicking Volt Switch most of the time until we're ready to just go explosion boom. So like I do think it's probably better to have more special attack. Because again, like spin into Volt Switch, or if they have Golden Go, like we can just Volt Switch, expecting them to spin block, perhaps, you know. So I do think like maybe just Volt Switching until Golden Go is probably dead might be better off too. I'm not really too sure how this guy plays or whatever, but yeah, like I said, this is kind of like a weird team. Like again, it's only really Armorers that's really invested, and then Mismagius and Aleki. So I don't know. It's certainly definitely a team. I think that if you play like good, like you have a good chance to win this game. I do think it might come down to how the initial turns go too, like how much you kind of get out of this Mismagius.
Right.
But I certainly think that, let's say you even trade like 1-for-1, or let's say you trade like you kill one of their guys and then you can get like one more hit off but not kill it for Mismagius. Like I definitely think your team is pretty built to kind of check their big threats and then win with Armorers, especially if you can just get up a spike or two, which I definitely think you can be able to.
What would be the original item? Just like boots, right?
I don't know. I was gonna ask you. Like, I don't really think there's a standout like item. Boots is good. I like boots. Yeah. I don't really know if there's another one. So boots, normal gem, magnet. I think are all fine here. Boots is probably just the best though. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's everything. I don't know. Is there anything else that kind of concerns you at all, or not really?
Yeah, I just want to know, okay, so like going into the game, what's my game plan?
So, we have to go with the leads too, like the lead matchups. Actually, I think we already pretty much did, but yeah, you would just, so we don't have Power Gem. So, yeah, we would just Dazzling Gleam the Moon, Icy Wind the Landorus, and then Shadow Ball everything else, and then Will-O-Wisp Terrakion. Yeah, we'd Will-O-Wisp Terrakion, and then Pivot Torn on Incineroar, and then you turn. Right. Yeah. So the game plan does definitely kind of might alter a little bit based on how the lead goes, but generally it is just to get a couple spikes up, which you should be able to no problem versus Golden Go versus Glamora versus Skarmory. Like maybe not Skarmory. You could versus Skarmory too, until it shows like taunt or body press, and you'll take a lot. But realistically, you're gonna get up the spikes on Golden Ghost / Glamora. If they don't bring either of those for some reason, maybe they bring Jolteon. Like, you're gonna find a Pokemon that you think you can pretty easily get a spike up on. And then you're gonna just basically be pivoting around with Tornadus plus Tinkaton plus Tinglu, just to get chip on things with U-turn, with Helmet versus Knockoff, and then you're basically just gonna look for your opportunity to get an Armrouge. A good thing to kind of like try to do. Oh, we didn't even finish the. It's just like this. What are we doing?
Oh.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do is it would be. You can't really do this is switching in Armrouge on something. You can, when you have a free switch, and you can bring in Armrouge versus something like a Golden Go if you know it's slower than you, or versus a Skarmory, or versus a Terra Steel Primarina, and you can just attack. You don't have to just go for the indoor winning play like immediately. You can attack, and then you can maybe switch out, and then you could do it later. Because what that does is that might also like just like he might think that you're not some sort of like setup set. He might think you're maybe just a scarf set or just an attacking set, whatever. But you know, if you can't bring it in before you go for the endure play, like that's okay too. But you can certainly bring it in versus something like Landorus or versus Roaring Moon, and you might threaten to KO it with like a scarf set, and they might just attack you, right? If you endure versus like Terrakion, or versus something that you know can proc your thing, and they switch, that's okay. That's still not the end of the world, because let's say they have something like Incineroar or something like Landorus, they probably don't have a move that they can do to kind of like avoid hitting you, you know? So if they switch and then they go in something else, maybe they bring in something like, I don't know, Lamora or something. They really shouldn't, but they could. Okay, then you can switch out and you can come back in later, okay? But realistically, they're not going to switch in something that like you're going to kill. They're going to want to bring in something like, I think Roaring Moon realistically might be their initial switch in, just because it walls the stabs and it's faster and can threaten an Oko. So, you know, if you endure and they bring in Roaring Moon, obviously, you know, you can't endure twice, right? So you would have to switch, and then you would have to find another opportunity to do it. But I do think it's very likely for them to proc your armor policy combo with like 4 different Pokemon, and I can honestly see all 4 Pokemon coming to this game. So they should really have a minimum of 2 of those 4 guys, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have 3. If they have 2 or 1, then that's kind of crazy. But honestly, those guys are really good into your team, so that's still not like the worst, you know, worst for you. So if they don't bring Landorus, like Aleki can literally be a win condition, like by just staying alive and volt switching and being annoying and giving you good matchups, you know. So but I do think that's your main game plan. It's just spikes up, weaken things with U-turn, knock, chip over time, and then just finding your correct time to go in for Armrouge. And like I said, I really think like there's just not a whole lot they can do to stop this set if you do get the policy armor off. So that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So what did you say were like the best? Okay, so the best opportunities to win with Armrouge are enduring on one of the physical mons that can activate my combo, right? Like the 4 that we talked about.
Yeah, Landorus.
I can bring it in on Goldengo if I'm faster.
Yeah, if you know it's modest. So you know if you calc damage, and it shows modest damage. It could also be Scarf though too, so you have to think of that too. But yeah.
And then Primarina, plus 2 side shot kills, right? So
if it's max HP, unless it's Terra Steel. Yeah.
Right. Gotta watch out for that. And yeah, so game plan is just lead Miss Magus, set up hazards, pivot between my walls, and look for an opportunity to bring an Armrouge. Is there any moment where you think they could like set up and I don't get to bring an Armrouge and I just lose? Like at any moment?
Like set up with what? What do you think? Like a Roaring Moon or something?
Yeah, I think the main setup threats here are, I guess, Roaring Moon and Primarina.
Primarina I wouldn't worry about, because you're always going to be faster even when you get the... Well, you're always faster than Primarina unless it's like boosting its speed somehow, but if it's set up, it's not going to be doing that. So you'll still be able to get like a Shy Shock off. You're not going to be boosted, obviously, because... Well, you can, honestly. You can endure versus Primarina, you know? Because then You're not gonna get the weak armor speed, sorry, but you're gonna get your boosting speed or your boosting special attack, and again you'll be faster than Primarina with because of Side Shock. You know, the two threats that I think might not let you kind of get your chance to set up is if Roaring Moon is boosting, because if it's boosting its speed more than once, or if it's max speed for some reason, it'll still be faster. And then Terrakion. Does Terrakion actually have Rock Polish? I know we talked about it earlier, but I know a lot of things lost Rock Polish. I'm not even sure if it actually has Rock Polish anymore. Let me check.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because I know like Necrozma lost it. I know Landorus lost it.
Oh, my Showdown is also stuck.
Yeah.
It's not just you.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it doesn't have Rock Polish actually, so I don't even know. So that's not even a threat either, actually. You'll always be faster after the weak armor. So the only Pokemon really that I think can set up and not give you a chance to set up with Armor Rouge is if you let Roaring Moon set up speed twice, or if it's booster speed plus a Dragon Dance. But again, if it's that set, it's not going to be too strong. And like I said, ideally you keep the Tinkaton like pretty healthy for the Roaring Moon until it shows like its item at least, you know. So yeah. I don't think there's really, that's like the only case I think. And again, we have like Ting-Lu, we can have spikes up, so like between like Helmet, U-turn, potentially like Tinkaton like living and then just killing with Play Rough, like, and then also Alecki is also faster than Moon too, unless it gets to 2 speeds. So you really shouldn't be letting it get to 2 speeds unless it's booster speed and it just Dragon Dances once. 2 Dragon Dances probably like you would probably like something like happened, like you didn't make a correct play or something, where and then that might be able to just kind of sweep you. But other than that, no, like I think Armor Rouge should be able to set up on something here. And
okay.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's pretty solid though, man. I think you have a good shot at winning this with this set. And even something like Tornadus, even though it's not like special attack invested at all, it's still gonna do like, it could still do a good chunk to a lot of things. It should be faster than pretty much everything except Jolteon if it comes. So again, just because like it's not offensively invested, like it can still do a lot of damage. So a lot of the Pokemon in this team, even like Ting-Lu has 110 attack, a lot of the Pokemon in this team can still do a lot of damage. So I think you'll still be okay. It's not too passive, I don't think. So I think that's it. Is there anything else, or are we good? I think we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We can leave it there.
Okay. Alright, so thank you guys for watching the team build. I'll see you guys in the battle. Hopefully Big Punpun can pull out the dub. I'll see you there. Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back. We have the battle here for Punpun. This is the last look at the paste. And we're going to leave with our Terra Ghost Miss Magius with a Focus Sash. So they actually brought quite a different team than we expected. No Landorus, no Glamora, no Golden Ghost. So a very, very strange team. Regieleki actually looks really, really good here because there's no ground type. But there is a Volt Absorbing Jolteon that we have to take note. Primarina does show to be Terra Poison on preview as well. And so we're going to lead the Miss Magius, and we said we were going to try to... I actually think we should have... So we have Will-O-Wisp on this thing in case of the Terrakion lead. And we did say we could also Will-O-Wisp the Roaring Moon. But I think in this scenario here, you probably just Dazzling Gleam it. Will-O-Wisp is a fine play though. I don't think it's really not too big of a deal that he clicks Will-O-Wisp here. I did see this game live, by the way. So, and also, by the way, before I start this replay review, we didn't really talk about it, but yeah, Punpun's pretty new at battling. He's only been playing in his friends league. He's only been playing for like a year or so, and I believe he's 4-7 in this league. He's in a 12-week league, which is kind of crazy long. But he's playing this guy to kind of, if he beats him, he knocks him out of playoffs, so he can kind of take him out of the playoffs with him or so. But anyways, that's kind of the whole background of this game here. So we Will-O-Wisp on the Whimsicott coming, which is fine. And then he makes a pretty big mistake in my opinion, which is going Tornadus on a Whimsicott. So I don't know if this is just lack of knowledge of Whimsicott, of what it does, or if we just didn't expect Sunspore to come out here. But I think the play is always to just Terra Ghost and Shadow Ball, man, because our Miss Magius was a lead. It was a Focus Sash lead, so it's probably going to get thrown out early in the game anyway. And we just showed that Will-O-Wisp in front of the Roaring Moon. So if you look at the remaining 5 Pokemon, like Shadow Ball has no resist. You Terra Ghost Shadow Ball, you're going to do probably like 70% to this guy at least. So, and I don't think Moonblast kills you anyway from 61 or something, unless it's like a Specs variant or something. So I really disagree with this play just because even if you get like switcheroo or something too, like crippling tornadoes is really bad because it's faster than Terrakion. It's probably faster than Moon unless it's scarfed. Actually showed banded from the U-turn damage, I believe. Like 39 from a non-stab U-turn is kind of crazy. So I do believe the Moon is banded, by the way. So there's a chance that Torn was faster than Moon too, but now we're pretty much slower than everything. So that's really, really unfortunate. And you know, Miss Magus is already slower than 4 out of the 6 Pokemon. So, and it can't switch into something like Primarina, so it's not really going to do much to the rest of the game here. So for sure you want to stay in there and just get your big Shadow Ball up on Whimsicott here. So now Punpun makes a good play, and he just U-turns because he knows Whimsicott is not going to want to stay in versus a Tornadus. And then bang, we get in Tinglu, we get our spikes rolling. This is what we want. They don't have their remover, so spikes are here to stay. They go back to Whimsicott. Now, because Torn is already paralyzed, I agree that he should just basically go Torn on Whimsicott. There's not really any threat. And if you U-turns like he does here, bang, you get some Rocky Helmet damage, so all good there. And now Big Terrakion comes in. So this is a problem. We don't have like a great switch into Terrakion. So he's going to use his Mismagius sack pretty much versus this thing, which I agree. Again, Mismagius isn't really doing much. His opponent makes a really good play and Stealth Rocks on the expected switch. And that's another thing too, if we were not paralyzed there, we could stay in and just click, we could stay in and click Psychic if this thing is not Scarf. You could scout for Scarf by going into something like Tinglu initially, and if you click Stone Edge, then you could pivot back to Tornadus on a fighting move or something else, because if he's locked in, he's going to switch, and if he's not locked in, he's going to CC you, and then you can go Torn, and then bang, you're faster, he takes Helmet, he takes a drop, and you can Psychic and threaten him out, if you're not paralyzed. But again, we're paralyzed, so we're slower, so... Yeah, you use Mismagius to kind of sack it. We do get lucky and dodge a Stone Edge. And we get a nice burn on this guy. Now we Terra Ghost. I don't know why he didn't Terra earlier. It doesn't really matter. We still dropped a Stone Edge, though, because Mismagius is frail as hell. Now we go Arm Roche here. This play is kind of crazy. So, I was watching this game live. I don't know if... I thought he was going to just go for the Endure, like, right here. Just go for game. And I'm like, oh my god, please don't. Like, there's still so many things that could go wrong. And all this thing. So... But he actually, I calced, he doesn't actually live a Stone Edge Life Orb from this thing, even though he's burned. So he is literally just like bluffing like Choice Scarf. That's like the only thing that he gotta be thinking here. And honestly, I don't really know if that's even a good play either, because this thing is burned and he already got the rocks up. So he might not really value his Terrakion much anymore. So he can easily just stay in here. But he bluffs the Scarf and goes for a Psyshock, and it does work. His opponent does switch. And we get a big 51 off on Whimsicott here, which shows max HP. Now we go Lucky here, and we take a big Moonblast, but it's not the end of the world, because now we get a free Rapid Spin. Unfortunately, he does not go for Rapid Spin. He goes for Extreme Speed here, which, you know, Rapid Spin is always the play here no matter what. It gets rid of the rocks, and it kills the Whimsicott. The reason why he said he didn't go for Rapid Spin there is because he calced versus the VGC like max defensive Whimsicott instead of just the regular Whimsicott. Again, he hit it with a Psyshock, so from the calc he can tell that the Whimsicott was probably only like max HP, and so Rapid Spin did always kill the Whimsicott. So Whimsicott is 1,000,000% the play there, or Whimsicott Rapid Spin, but he just miscalced, he put the wrong set in, so that's very unfortunate. And again, that's something that, you know, with a lot of practice you really shouldn't be doing anymore. You just got to be very careful and go slow and make sure you're calcing everything, and again, try to get as much information as you can from all the damage and every turn that you do. So we Extreme Speed, unfortunately, and now he switches to Tinglu, which is okay, because now we get to pretty much get up another Spike. That's the game plan with this guy, and again, he has no way of removing him. So one more Spike up doesn't mean that Whimsicott will die on entry, and then, well, he's going to die on entry anyway because he takes one there, but he goes into Whimsicott here, and then he just stays in with Tinglu. I agree with this play. You know, he's not really under a huge threat. A Moonblast, as you saw, only does 27. And he can easily just Earthquake to kill the Whimsicott. Now, he Whirlwinds. I don't agree with that play. I think Earthquake is always the play, because you kill the Whimsicott, or if he switches, you basically kill it anyway on like when you bring it back in. But if you Whirlwind, you can Whirlwind something into like a bad matchup. Like you could Whirlwind in Primarina, you can Whirlwind in Roaring Moon that can just hit you with a big banded U-turn. Or even Terrakion, like they can hit with the CC. So if you Earthquake here, at least you get some damage on something if he switches in something, or you just kill the Whimsicott so he doesn't have that sack anymore. Because if you Whirlwind in something like, let's say, Skarmy, like that's a bad matchup for you. He can get up spikes, he can just body press, he can do whatever, and then he still has the Whimsicott sack. But if you just Earthquake, he chose to just hit you with the with the Moonblast, so you would have killed the Whimsicott, and that's one less sack that he has. Now, luckily for you, we do Whirlwind and Jolteon, so that does give us our third layer of spikes, I believe, which is correct. And then he Whirlwinds here to kind of phase away the Wish, to kind of maybe get something else that doesn't want to get wished, which is the correct play. Now, it's Tinglu versus Primarina here. So he has two options, one switch or two stay in. Now he stays in here, which I think is okay. That's not a bad thing. But you need to look at your win condition, which is Armarouge. And we said Primarina was one of the few things that needs a little bit of chip before you can just kill it with Psyshock. So that, and then we need the Sturdy Broken. Everything else looks like it should be game for Armarouge. So he should have just hit it once with an Earthquake, not Whirlwinded here, because now that it's at 76%, when it comes back in, Jolteon can still wish it back to 100%, which I believe is what happens later on in the game. Whereas if you take your Earthquake chip, plus it comes in on 3 layers of spikes, it's not going to be at 100% when it comes in and takes a wish from Jolteon. So plus, like I said earlier, if you Whirlwind, you can get a bad matchup like this thing right here, as we do. Now, I don't agree with throwing away Tinglu right here. He goes down to pretty much 4%. This is, yeah, I don't agree with this play at all. You can still use it for Jolteon, because Jolteon is a pain in the butt once Tinglu goes down. And another thing too is the best play for sure here is to pivot Tornadus, because there's no shot in hell he's going to click Stone Edge here in front of a 40% Tinglu, and then just throw away Terrakion to do what? Like 15% to you, if that, and then you get lefties too. You go Tornadus here on the obvious close combat. He's going to take Burn, he's going to take a Life Orb, he's going to take Rocky Helmet. He's going to basically be down to one more attack. Then you can pivot to Tinglu back if you don't care, or you can even pivot to something like Tinkaton or something else on the Stone Edge. So you definitely want to preserve your Pokemon as much as you can, especially when you're already down a Pokemon. And I think going Torn is very, very. I think it's safe here. He's not gonna expect that. And you know, he's burned, so he's his Life Orb. So I'm not sure if, even if he does make that crazy prediction, Torn dies. We can check though. Here it is. So where were we at? We were at full. We would be at full. So, and then we'd be at 75 because of rocks. So as you can see here, Burn Life Orb, we actually always live it anyway. So even if he does make that crazy prediction, you still live. But he didn't. He went for CC, so he would have been down to no HP, and you still would have had your Tinglu at 40%, which is good for that Jolteon. So, but it's unfortunate. And again, he does the same thing here. I believe he Whirlwinds instead of just Earthquakes and takes his kill. But we already talked about why that is a mistake. So Skarmory comes in. Tinglu dies to Body Press, and then Tornadus comes in. Obviously, Skarmory can't stay in. We just U-turn on the Whimsicott. No big deal there. His opponent makes a bit of a blunder there. They both actually said they thought the Terrakion lived the 3 spikes, but it was at 25%, so it did not. So we get a free kill there. We'll take it. Now Jolteon comes into Wish. We U-turn, which is correct, and we pivot into Alecki. So he has shown Baton Pass, Alluring Voice, and Wish. So his last move is either Protect or a Thunder or Electric move, probably Thunderbolt. So here he goes for Rapid Spin, and I don't like this play. So a Wish is in the air right now, right? You want him to show you Protect, because even if he protects, right, Rapid Spin wouldn't work anyway, right? And he would get the Wish. So he should not Rapid Spin here. He should actually Extreme Speed, because if you look, I believe we hit this with an Extreme Speed earlier somewhere. Yeah, we did. I did 32, right? So that would literally just kill him, and the Wish would not be caught, and it would go to nothing, right? Because if you Extreme Speed here and he makes a switch into anything anyways, you're faster. You can simply just Volt Switch the following turn and go into something accordingly, right? And if you Extreme Speed and he stays in like he does here, you just kill the Jolteon, man. And then you could spin the following turn. You don't have to, there's no like rush to Rapid Spin right here, okay? The turn versus Whimsicott, Rapid Spin was completely free because it killed what was in front of you and removed hazards. Here, Extreme Speed kills this Jolteon here. And if he has Protect anyway, Rapid Spin wouldn't work. So you might as well click Extreme Speed here because, yeah, he can go into Skarmory. He'll Extreme Speed. He'll get the Wish back up to full, but then you could just Volt Switch and you bring it down to Sturdy, right? And then you can go into Torn or something, right? If he goes Primarina, like, again, you Volt Switch, he would have to make that prediction and go back into Jolteon expecting an electric move and catch the Volt Absorb. So you'd have those plays after, but here, man, you just Extreme Speed and you kill the Jolteon, no problem. And then if he switches again, like, he's at, what, 29%? So he's really, really low. So you definitely should Extreme Speed first here. Now, unfortunately, we're going to get confused from Alluring Voice, and then he does hit himself. That's a tough play. That is a tough play for sure. And he said he went for, I believe he went for Explosion there, which would have KO'd the Jolteon. So it would have been a 3v3, and I do think in a 3v3 situation, this Armarouge is in prime position to win the game here. Because you can get the weak armor versus, you can get the weakness policy versus Primarina or Roaring Moon, and then you're faster than these two guys, so you really only need the weak armor for Roaring Moon, and you can always Endure versus Roaring Moon. Even if you come in to take the policy with Endure from Primarina, Water Move, and you don't get the speed boost, okay, you still get the +2 policy. Big Psyshock would kill Primarina because it would be at 76, and then you'd have to go Moon, but okay, you can just Endure, then you get the weak armor, and then you're faster. And if you go Skarmory, okay, then you armor cannon it down to 1%, and then Tinkaton will obviously knock off Skarmory and kill it, and then play rough the Roaring Moon, and Tinkaton wins the game here. So that was really, really unfortunate. Hit yourself in confusion there, because he went for Explosion, and it did KO the Jolteon. So I do think if that play didn't happen, punpun actually wins this game anyway. So even with all the mistakes and misplays I think he's doing, he still played this game like, pretty good to this point. Like, he still had his Armorers in prime position to win this game had he not hit himself in confusion. But like I said, if he just Extreme Speeded the turn before, he wouldn't even have to risk that. He would have just killed the Jolteon, and he probably would have won this game. But he hits himself, so it is what it is. He brings in Armarouge here, and he hits the the Primarina with an Armor Cannon, but then it catches the Wish. So, and Leftovers. So if he had Psyshock there, it would have done certainly more than Armor Cannon, and he wouldn't have been at 100%. And as you can see, he's going to go for the Endure weakness policy here, and he does get it. But again, we did say Primarina was one of the few things we needed chipped, and yeah, man, it's at 100%, so we just can't kill it with the +2 Psyshock. Had he Psyshock the turn before versus Jolteon, he would have done more, and he probably would have died to that. But he probably expected Skarmory to come in. That's why he Armor Cannon. I don't really fault him for that play, though. It was the play before that kind of did him in. So now it's a 4 versus 2. Tornadus did pick off Primarina. And then this was probably the last big mistake of the game here. After we kill Torn, we know the Roaring Moon is banded here, and we have our physical defensive Pokemon in. So you should always just U-turn here, man. You're going to chip it with whatever it hits you with your helmet. Then you get even more chip with U-turn. And you need health on Tinkaton to deal with Jolteon, because obviously Jolteon is just going to kill Torn. So, but he makes a switch here, and then Skarmory can always come in versus versus Tinkaton, and then we can go Torn, but spikes are going to come up, and then he can go Jolteon on Torn. And even though we're getting these plays correctly with you turning on Jolteon coming in, we're still taking we're still taking spikes, and he can safely just Baton Pass, so in case punpun tries to double to Torn, he's going to know that, and he can go into something else like Roaring Moon and just hit it really hard. So at this point, I don't think there's much that punpun can do. I do think those couple of few turns with the whole Regieleki versus Jolteon, and then rapid spinning instead of extreme speeding, pretty much did him in there. And then it was just really unlucky with the confusion. I really think he won this game had he exploded and killed the Jolteon. So, but it is what it is. Hacks happens, man. Again, as long as he gets, understands the kind of plays that I talk about here, that's all that really matters, man. And like I said, like he's pretty new to this game, and he did pretty well here. This guy, I think, was 6-5 or something. So, I think he would have beat this guy honestly if you just take hacks out of the entire game. But
you know, you can't do that. That's what happens. So Tornadus is not going to be able to kill the rest of these guys. Roaring Moon can come in and just kill it with like an Outrage or a knockoff or whatever it wants to go for, Outrage. So, but it is what it is. It was still a really close game. It was cool kind of using Pokemon like Aleki and Armarouge, because you don't really see those Pokemon too often, and even Terra Mismagus, even though it didn't get to do too much. But that's going to do it, guys. Thank you guys a ton for watching. Again, if you want to be featured on this series, all you have to do is join the Discord down below and simply type in the word "in" for the channel that says Team Building with Zooch, and I'll get you signed up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you later. Peace.